Good evening, Julien. How is life in Paris today?
Good morning, Max. Life is great. Life is great. I feel like we should change something. We've been doing the same thing over and over again. Do you have any idea of what we could be doing differently today?
Here's a thought. Let me know what you think of this. What if we do a follow-on session? Talk about, maybe we each have 2 stories that we've told before. And I know a lot of my stories, a lot of your stories, they weren't closed when we talked. So maybe we just talk about where things ended up.
That is a brilliant idea, and I feel like you planned for it because you're kind of lying on your bed or something. I believe you're already ready for lying on the couch, right?
Yeah, and when I think about what I'm going to talk about for follow-ups, they definitely require a lot of being horizontal and in pain. So you want me to start?
Well, you know what? I'm going to call this episode "We Need Closure," and yes, please do start.
Okay, good. All right. So my first story, not surprisingly, is decidedly the most scarring I had, which was my run-in with the IRS. Yes.
Perfect. I want to hear about it. How did it go?
Well, it hasn't. So from when I filed the stuff, so the I guess quick recap, I had a penalty from the IRS that I thought was absurd. And I contested it, which required phone calls. It was about 5 hours on hold across multiple calls. One time after a 2-hour hold, I got somebody who was helping me and the line dropped, et cetera, et cetera. And I finally, after being told there was nothing I could do, the person who told me there was nothing I could do said, well, there is this one form you could fill out and send in and see what happens. So I filled out the form. I sent it in. There was a thing that said, it'll be a month and a half until you hear anything. After 2 months, I called and was told, no, you've got another couple of months until you're going to get an update. And then I went downstairs, and in the mail from the IRS was a letter saying, you got another 2 months till you're going to get an update. So that's where that stands. We're still waiting. And I'm probably, going to have to go through that queue again. I'm so traumatized. I don't even want to do it, even though it's a lot of money at stake.
Okay, so no closure on this first story, I'm afraid, and there's probably going to have to be another follow-up or 2, right?
Yes. I think that's exactly where the status lies on that.
Okay. Well, that's pretty terrible.
All right. Have you anything better? Have you got anything on your side you can talk to?
Kind of a similar one. Remember, I don't remember when it was. A few weeks back, I told you a story of me ordering female fashion online on a nice store, and they delivered some of the products from Europe or France, I don't know. And one of the product came from China, and I had to pay a lot of extra custom fee. And then I reached out to them through several channels, and they did not respond. So I guess that's where we left it, if I recall. I have an update on this one. They finally responded. Not to the original email, but probably to the 19th or 20th that I sent in.
At least you didn't set up a spamming email.
I was close to, but I did not. And they were very apologetic about it. And they said, look, we're very sorry. Actually, we found out that you're not the only one. We had like 20 customers complaining about the same thing just in the past 2 weeks. It seems the post office is making a mistake right now, and they are double charging some of the custom fees we already prepaid. We are terribly sorry this is happening to you. We're trying to sort it on a global level, and then we'll get back to you once we know how to deal with this. It's still a little bit early. We are talking with the post office. And I know from experience that talking to the post office is not an easy thing either. So no. I understand. But no closure on this one either. At least I responded, which makes me feel better. But seriously, it really had to take that many emails to get an answer, and no closure yet. So still frustrating, but not a big amount like yours. So
one question on that one. as I remember, you hadn't received anything yet, and you didn't know if you were going to get anything else did that happen, or?
So I got everything. Only one of the 4 parcel got charged with extra custom fees. All the rest was
Okay.
fine. And the product was good. So honestly, all good. They have been very good pretty much everywhere. Just this thing. And it looks like it's not even their problem. And I understand. I've been dealing enough with the post office to know. But just do respond to customers. I don't mind waiting. I
Yeah.
understand. Just respond. Just don't keep me
Yeah.
waiting.
That's interesting. It's really, an honest mistake happened, and not even by them.
Exactly.
And yeah, if they had promptly responded to you, even if they promptly responded and said, we're negotiating with the post office, we will get back to you, give us a month or something like that, that probably would have been a much better scenario.
Exactly. Don't ignore your customers. And that's a typical story of, multiple people being involved in the customer experience. A little bit like that story you had. Was it your wife that had some health insurance, health bill issue? I can't remember what the story was, but that was a painful one as well, right?
Man, you know what? That's my second story that I was going to follow up on. That is, wow, you are the segue king here. So, yes, my wife had a medical procedure done a couple of years ago. And the doctor billed the insurance. We thought maybe we'd have a copay or something, but weren't, didn't think about it, didn't worry about it. And then much later, my wife got a call from the doctor's office saying, hey, this is going to go to collections. Do you want to pay? Turned out they had billed the wrong insurance. Just this long, confusing thing. My wife paid, and then I called the insurance company, who first thing out of their mouth was, this is awfully old. You do know there's a statute of limitations on how long we'll pay for these things. But then got into the conversation, had the woman help me fill in all the paperwork, and then she never submitted it after I gave it to her. Then I called, I don't know, a month later or something like that. And this time, the rep was amazing. He got the billing company on the phone, conferenced them in with me, and we hashed out what was going on. And there was it was really weird on the doctor's side. The person who did the billing was, they were like, they told us this was paid, don't worry about it. They got money from you, but they should be going to the insurance company to get some of this money. This doesn't make any sense. So we're out $400. And that basically what I was told on that call was, we're going to follow up. We'll let you know, give us a couple of days. Well, it's been months, and I'm just steeling myself to call because it's a very long wait. And I know it's going to be a very long explanation. And why is this my job? I'm the one, am I supposed to just not pay the doctor and go to collections? And, when you've got a threat of collections on your head, you don't want that to show up on your credit record. So they've got me where they want me. And now I've got to, it shouldn't be my job. They should be reaching out to me. They should be keeping me apprised. I get they're overworked, but still, I mean, you can set up an automated email to give status on something or something like that.
And you have responsibility towards your customers anyway. It's not so much, being overworked is not an excuse, right? You get
Right.
people to pay for a service. So at some point you got to deliver as a service. Oh, I feel bad for you. And you started your story by telling that was a 2 years ago story.
Right.
That's
right.
You still don't have closure for. So that's
right.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I hate these things. Sorry.
We've only been out the money, months, but still, it's just absolutely absurd and ridiculous. And I guess this is kind of the magic of insurance companies is, we'll pay you, but we're going to make it so hard that some of you are going to give up, but we get to keep it.
Yeah, well, I've had that. Well, that probably would be for another day. I've had that same story very much recently. That's how terrible it is. Um, Maybe a slightly different last story from my side. You probably remember it because I think that would be the third time I talk about this. Could it be? Remember that food app I've been
Oh, of
working with,
course.
right? I
Yes.
think I think I had a couple of stories
And
around
then
this.
you switched to another one, if I remember right, or you tried another one.
Correct. So that food app that I order, I actually get packaged ingredients with recipe, and it's more healthy than restaurant, a little bit cheaper, but obviously more expensive than buying your own stuff. But it's very well done. I had that first app, loved it. Had a couple of problems with delivery. Switched to a new. That was my first story. Switched to a new app. Incredible customer service. They reached out proactively, made sure I was onboarded correctly. Everything was fantastic. I was ready to stay with them, even though they were a bit more expensive. And here comes my third story, because I had to give you a follow up on this one. Well, I actually switched back again. um,
Oh no, what happened?
So service, much better. No comparison. Service, definitely much better. But they missed three things, I would say, that made the other one actually a better contest. Even though they were slightly more expensive, that was not a problem. It's not significant difference. The first thing is, honestly, the food was not as good. And that's kind of first criteria. When you buy food, you want it to be good.
Right.
It might have been a bad week, and maybe if I had waited another few weeks, maybe it would have gotten better. But honestly, food not that good. Second, the recipe was very hard to read, because for cost saving, I guess they printed on an A5 instead of an A4, making it a much less enjoyable experience.
Mm.
And last one is, they packed all the ingredients into one big bag instead of having one bag per meal. And when you're working, I usually cook when I work, so I really have 20 minutes to cook and 10 minutes to eat. I don't have 2 hours to figure out which ingredient goes where. So I paused with them, and again, super proactive. They called me up and they asked, why did I pause, if there is anything they can do for me. And I said, look, do you have 10 minutes or not? And they said, yeah, sure, I'd love your feedback. We spent 10 minutes. I explained what I love about your service, what I don't like, and why I'm actually switching back to another competitor. They took notes on this. They assured me that they were taking it seriously, and there could be changes, assuming I'm not the only one saying this, obviously. And since then, they have been sending me a follow-up email. They have been sending me some discount codes. They even promised to have, I don't even know how you say that in English. That's a French word, I guess. Do you know what raclette is? Like the melted
Mm-mm.
cheese you put on potatoes and you eat with ham and pickles.
Oh yes,
They are
yes, I know
they,
what that is.
they, they know how to
Mm.
talk to me. So they would even send me that machine. But I mean, do you really expect I don't have that at home? But no, they were great. And what I told them in the end was, you know what? I'm going to stick with the other guys for another 6 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever it is. I'm definitely going to give you guys a try again, see if you implemented any of my recommendation. And if it's better, well, I may stick with you or go back. I mean, so easy to switch. But ultimately, I thought I would stick with them because customer experience was fantastic. Well, customer support was fantastic. Customer experience is more than that. If the food is not great, the
Yes.
recipe is not good, the packaging is not right, that's part of the experience. And unfortunately, it was not as good as I expected.
Yeah, this is a case where product trumps service.
Right.
You can have the greatest customer service in the world, but if the product is that inferior, there comes a point where you're packaging you're putting a beautiful envelope around a horrible package. It's like, all right, sorry, it's not what's going to win in the long run in a lot of cases.
But I mean, even though 3 stories out of 4 we don't really have closure yet, at least I think we can analyze some of this, because there are a few learnings here. I'd probably start with that last story, saying exactly what you said. And customer experience is more than customer service. That's a perfect example where customer service was fantastic, and that was a great start of the experience, but it was just not enough because it doesn't stop with the customer service. So probably a good learning piece here. On yours, I mean, seriously, don't put, there is something we don't very often talk about. There is one metrics, one KPI that many customer experience managers, directors, whatever title use is the CES, the customer effort score. And asking you to harass the customer service to get some answer is the worst possible customer effort score you would have. This is terrible. That's a deal breaker.
Basically, my effort would have to be to take this on as a full-time job for a month. It feels like, and the other, it's funny when you talked about metrics for a second. I thought you were going to say first contact resolution, and I'm into like 83rd contact resolution, and still not there.
We're not quite there. It's too early, Max. We're not quite there.
Yeah.
Let's close some of the things.
Dozen interactions yet.
But there's this.
I think that's exactly right.
And then the last piece that would be for your first story and my first story is the same thing: is be proactive and don't wait for customers to come back to you, to get back to you again. I mean, your story with the IRS where you've been waiting the 1.5, 2 months as told and nothing comes, and you have to ask to know that you need to wait for another 2 months. They probably knew for a while. They don't have to wait for the deadline to tell you that. And same thing for my thing with the custom. Why do I need to send so many emails to get a simple answer? The problem is that's your responsibility, but not your problem. I understand it. Be proactive. Tell me. Don't wait for me to harass you.
Right. Well, it's funny because that one slip up turned what would have been a very, very positive experience into a negative one.
Exactly.
And, and you would have, maybe not been happy that you had to pay that, but if they had told you, there's a thing, we're looking into it, we'll get back to you on it. Of course, the other thing now is they've been so unresponsive that you're never going to trust that they're going to get you. So you now are in the same boat I am, where how long till I reach out again and say, I haven't gotten anything yet. Are you going to get me something?
And I will. And if they think I don't, they just don't know me. I'm going to send them a link to that YouTube channel, I guess. Anything else any other learnings you'd like to add to that, Max?
No, but I have a rant that I've already ranted, but I want to rant it one more time. It should not be the customer's job to drive these interactions. I mean, if there's one thing a company should do is when there's an outstanding service thing, follow up, keep it alive somehow. And I guess this is a really hard thing because it's a place companies fall down over and over and over. So I think that's my biggest learning here is when you have an open ticket, when you have an open issue, keep communicating somehow.
I don't understand why that still exists because I'm on the technology side, so I know how some of that stuff works. And the same way you can snooze on your phone in the morning because you don't want to get up, you can snooze on most of the technological products you have out there. If you don't have the answer, please have a reminder pop up 3 days, 6 days, 1 month from now, so that proactively you can check the status and respond to your customer. Technology allows this. I don't understand why this is not happening.
Well, and it's stupid because it's not just a customer sat issue, it's a cost issue. Because when we call in, that's a lot more time than a system that's generating an SMS that says, hey, give us another month.
And it takes longer to deal with a frustrated customer than a happy one. So it's all right. Well, I guess that would be it for today. But do you feel better by lying down during the story, or?
This was helpful. Unfortunately, we're revisiting some deep life traumas, so it was good to have it managed that way. And I like doing this. We should do this again, maybe once a quarter or so, where we just pick up on some stories and see how they ended up.
Sounds good. And for next week, I guess I'll probably have another story, one of those that you love, where you need to harass the customer service for anything to happen. So let me think about it. I think I have a perfect one for that.
All right. Sounds great. Thanks, Julien.
Have a beautiful day, Max. Talk to you next week.
All right. Bye. Sounds great.